Uh, this is Steve Bartolota, my dad.
Hello?
I wanted to explain where were you born? Just to introduce yourself.
I was born in Sicily, Italy.
How old were you when you came here?
I was 9 years old.
9 years old. Was it a big transaction going through all that?
Transition?
Transition.
Yes, it was. It was very big. Didn't know the language. I didn't know anything about the United States. We didn't have the social media we have now, so I had no idea what I was getting into.
Okay. I want to start asking you about your spouse. How old were you when you met your spouse?
I met Allison when I was 28 years old.
Do you remember where you guys met?
Yes, I do. Bunch of my friends and knew one of her friends, so a bunch of her friends. We met up at a restaurant, and we all had a great time that night, and we met each other.
But you guys lived in the same town previously, correct?
Astoria, Queens.
You lived there for since you moved here, right? And so did she? And she lived here forever.
Yes.
Can you describe your courtship with her?
Well, we dated on and off for probably about four years, 3 or 4 years. We'd break up. We'd always manage to get back together.
Why did you ultimately decide to get married?
Well, love is the factor of why people get married, right?
Yeah, but what made you feel that love? What was it about her that it was different?
I don't know. We just got along great. We used to love just hanging out together, and the next step was to get engaged and get married.
How long after you guys were dating did you feel it was appropriate for you to ask her to be your wife?
Probably 5 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Could you describe your engagement with her? Where'd you guys go?
We got engaged in Hampton Bays on the beach.
Oh, okay. And it was under the fireworks, correct?
Right, sunset. It was sunset right on the beach. I was gonna do it in the restaurant, but it didn't work out. Restaurant right across from the beach, so we ended up taking a walk on the beach, and that's where I did it.
Were you nervous? How was it?
Yes, very nerve-wracking. Yes, absolutely.
Of course. How was your engagement up until you guys got married? Were times different? Was anything different?
No, just that it was more serious, and it was the next level, and it was fine. It was fine. We got along great.
Let me ask you, how old were you when you guys got married?
What was I, 35, I believe? Around 35.
When you were searching, what were you really looking in a spouse? Like, what characteristics maybe, or the things she does, or were you really looking for back then? And then after, I'm going to ask you what you look for now compared to your age difference. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, what I looked for, I guess, was you kind of compare someone to your mother, but ultimately that wasn't the case. Hard worker, someone you get along with. She wasn't afraid to try new foods, which I really enjoyed. We just got along. We always managed to get back together, and there's a reason for that. We loved each other from the beginning.
So let me ask you, how about now? Do characteristics compare to that?
All of it still applies today. She's still a hard worker. She's still a great companion. She still wants to do things, and she's always pushing me to do things. And all the factors still remain the same.
How important is money in relationships? Comparing with both of you guys with the money, like how dividing it, putting it in evenly, you going one way, you going the other way, you know what I'm saying?
We've always put in equally, or everything we've made went into one pool. So we never had an issue with your money and my money. Ultimately, money is a problem, and if you don't have any. If you have it, everything's fine. If you don't, a little more stress in the relationship, obviously.
Let me ask you about your religion. Did that have any conflict, or not even conflict? So, like, was it a benefit to your relationship with her?
It wasn't a deal breaker, but it wouldn't have been a deal breaker, but it definitely was a benefit that she was Catholic. Yes.
Especially because I know you're from Italy,
Right.
which my grandmother, your mother, Nonna,
Right.
she's very Catholic,
Right.
and that maybe it would be acceptance for her, her mom.
It
So
wasn't.
Catholic at all.
It wasn't the reason, but it definitely made things easier. Yes.
I know you guys got married in the church, correct?
Correct.
How about your culture? You coming from Italy, her coming from Astoria, and her parents from Ireland. How do you feel that your culture conflicted, even with us now? How our house is, how your kids are.
It didn't conflict with my ways of thinking, nor Allison's ways of thinking. We just got along great. I always worried how my parents would feel, but my parents adapted perfectly. They didn't care if what religion, what nationality, as long as I was happy, and that was their only concern. So they adapted very well. It was never an issue.
Looking back, from now, from a perspective of from here, would have you changed anything that you've done?
As far as my relationship, absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Nope.
Even looking back, is there anything else, like maybe spiritually, between you two, or anything like that?
No. I think we still get along. We're still happy, and no, absolutely not.
What do you think your key to being happy in a marriage is?
Compromise.
Compromise?
Compromise. Compromise. Compromise.
You think that since you two could figure out a middle way, it's always been easier? Is that what you mean?
Don't sweat the small stuff. And compromise. That's all I can say about that. Anybody in a relationship, in a long relationship, would know what that means.
If you could give advice to young couples going through hardships or trying to find the right person for them, what kind of advice would you give them?
Boy. Always search for that right person, and just remember, you're never going to find the perfect partner. You have to compromise in your ideology of a perfect person.
Your theology as well, and spiritually.
Exactly. No one's perfect, so you have to realize that, and you have to accept other people, and you have to compromise in your own beliefs and in the beliefs of what your partner is. People change over time, and you just have to adapt with the times.
Is this advice coming from your own personal experiences?
Sure.
Let me ask you, what is, if any, the most difficult thing about being married compared to being single?
Well, you're not lonely, obviously.
The most difficult thing, though.
The most difficult thing?
Yes.
Teenagers.
Teenagers?
Yes.
What else?
Teenagers.
What else?
I'm not sure. I mean, everything's fine. I'm just trying to get old together and just trying to. There's nothing really that difficult about it.
Is there anything scary about it?
Well, getting old is scary, absolutely, but no. I mean, I don't see any problems with our relationship, so there's nothing really scary about it.
Let me ask you, do you feel as if being a Catholic changes your moral values or your values towards your wife and how you treat her and you respect her?
I don't know if religion is the critical part here. I think it's more ideology in the way you were raised. For example, I see my parents still together, and that makes me, I hear horror stories about divorces and this and that, and I would never want to be in that situation. My parents are still together. Her parents were together till the end. So that makes me strive to not even think about the alternative, divorce or so.
Do you also